Thank you all for coming out to AppStudio for ArcGIS, an introduction. My name is Chris LeSueur. I'm the product manager for AppStudio. And with me we have Tina Jin, one of our product engineers on AppStudio, and Erwin Soikianto, a product engineer and evangelist for AppStudio. I'm going to jump right into things. We're going to go kind of quickly. We just got a lot of good content to go over, and I don't want to cut any demos short. So we'll jump right into it. Before we talk about AppStudio, I want you to think about a couple things. Kind of think about who are you? Are you a GIS professional? Are you a full-time developer? Maybe a mix of both. And this is going to come into context later on when we talk about what you can accomplish with AppStudio today. So just a raise of hands. Who when someone asks what you do for a living, they say that they're a developer. That's your primary job. Okay, so like 15% if not less. Who says that they are a JS professional? Okay. And also, I guess maybe there might be an overlap here. Who would say that they qualify as a JS professional that can hack together some code, learn a little Python or JavaScript, and can copy and paste code and kind of get things done? Who falls in that category? Okay, perfect. Well, good. We'll talk about later. AppStudio covers all of these personas, all these people. So why are you here? Are you trying to provide access to maps and data that you create or your organization creates? Are you creating maybe a solution for a customer? That could be an internal customer or selling it, an external customer you have. Or you just really want to make maybe a focused tool for your organization. So I guess just some questions to think about as you watch the presentation and how you could use AppStudio. So what is AppStudio for ArcGIS? I would define AppStudio as a low-code solution for creating native apps. Low-code is an industry term these days. It's common and kind of a hot thing right now. It's just meaning that you're not starting from scratch when building an application or a tool. You're given a lot of help, whether that's templates, whether that's things to configure, or just making it easier to code and to customize a custom tool, an application or an app in this case. And AppStudio runs native apps. So these are apps that are installed on a device. It's a native application, a native install. It's not a web app that runs in a browser, but a native application. And why native apps? Why do we want native apps? Well, a few reasons. One, that many people want native apps is that they can run offline. You don't have to have a data connection. That's a big thing for many people. That's a big piece of it. Another is the device capabilities that a native app can offer and can access. So things like, do you need to access the camera? Do you need to access the GNSS, GPS location sensor on the device to get the location, which is a big deal, obviously, for many of the apps that people build with AppStudio, being mapping apps and such. Maybe we just want to access the capabilities of that operating system running on the device where you can share some information from one app to another. So being able to access those device capabilities, whether they're hardware or software on the devices. And the last, for many people, it's the big one. They want the ease and the notoriety and being able to put them into app stores. They want to have their local government or their organization, whoever they work for, their company. They want an app in the app stores because that's where people are finding these apps that we all use on our mobile devices today. And more and more, we all know that people are accessing information, the internet through smartphones, tablets, and things. And where they get those apps is through the app stores. And so for many people, they want to just get a presence and get their apps out there. The challenge with app development, well, it's complicated. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's different companies to work with, different tools. There's, you have to learn to code in most cases to create an app, a native application. It's expensive, whether that's the effort you're putting into it, or that's you're hiring out someone else. I mean, if you ever hire a third-party company to create a native iOS or Android app, it's a costly endeavor and time consuming. It kind of goes along with that expensive thing. Is it your time? Is it someone else's time? How are you going to be able to create this app in time and update it at a regular basis? So these are challenges that we offer tools with AppStudio to help you overcome. So what do you get with AppStudio? Well, one thing, as we can see there, it is cross-platform, meaning that it runs, apps you build in AppStudio can run on all different types of platforms. iOS, so your iPads and iPhones, Android smartphones and tablets, Windows, even Mac and Linux operating systems we can run on. And we talk about, that we bring, and Erwin will kind of show this later in our presentation, the ease of web development with the power of native. So if you've already developed for the web, meaning you'll be able to write code and see immediately how it's going to look, share it with someone else, get their feedback very easily without going through a big compile process. That's what it's like working with AppStudio and developing applications. Also, the code's a little easier to read than many languages that for building native applications. The code's a little easier, more approachable. Reuse some of your skills from maybe if you know some JavaScript or things, you reuse those skills in building your native app, but still being able to create a powerful, completely native installed app on your device. And then again, back to that, just about that code with AppStudio, or with any app development. You want to hit these different platforms, you're going to have to usually write the code in multiple languages. Android, you're going to be using Java or Kotlin. iOS, you'll be Objective-C or Swift. And .NET if Windows. There's different languages you have to learn and write it multiple times. Well, with AppStudio, we truly do write the code once, and then it gets compiled for all these different platforms. And you only need to do that once. So how do we do this? How do we do this magic? Did Esri figure out this magic of writing an app once or code once and it going to the different platforms? We're using some other technology behind the scenes to help us do this, and that is the technology from the Qt company. It's spelled QT. It's pronounced Qt. This is a company that years ago was a spin-off actually of Nokia at one point, and they build a set of C++ development tools for building applications, often in things like embedded vehicle displays and all sorts of stuff. I heard they have software that runs in like washing machines and stuff. I don't know, but a few years ago, they also said, hey, we have these C++ libraries we can build, but if we build this kind of layer on top of it, this writing your apps in a language called QML, we can compile that for different platforms. So we've there's this Qt company and their technology. We've put our mapping technology on top of that, which is called the ArcGIS runtime, which gives us all the mapping capabilities. And then AppStudio, we layer on top of that a lot of tooling and helper applications and helper code, basically, to make it much easier for you to write these kind of apps. And it all integrates in with the ArcGIS platform as well. So you can easily access your organization, easily bring in maps and data from your organization and get those out to people. All right, let me talk about just briefly a few examples of apps created with AppStudio. So you get an idea. So Esri, we build a number of apps with AppStudio. Probably most prominently is Survey123. That is built with AppStudio. Because of that, it runs on multiple platforms, and when it releases quite often. They're on like a 6, 7, 8 week release cycle with new functionality coming out, and it releases on all the platforms at the same time, which is great. Esri Support, they have a new app in beta right now that's built with AppStudio, so a dedicated app from our Esri Support group. The ArcGIS Companion, I don't know if you've seen this. We released it a year ago. It's actually every 2 months we have another release, at least, and there's new functionality coming out. This is kind of your access to your ArcGIS Online account or your ArcGIS Enterprise account. Being able to look at items, see what's trending, open up different items on your device, but also being able to do some administrative tasks. So if you ever provision licenses, if you ever add people to a group or manage other users, here's a mobile app that allows you to do that very nicely on a mobile device rather than bringing up a browser and logging in. And then Quick Capture, which was just announced and shown at the plenary, a really cool app for very quick, simple data collection. One of the examples was given, you could have this mounted in a car and driving down the street and tapping on things like a road sign that you notice that are damaged, or roadkill, or potholes. And with just one tap of a button, you're capturing location, capturing the attribute information, and pushing that back. Really cool, highly configurable application built with AppStudio. We have Esri Labs as well. Esri Labs is kind of, it's our, these are experimental a little bit. They have some cool functionality, things like augmented reality with OGO, or MyUSNG, which is a focus app for grabbing your local US National Grid location and being able to share that with other people. These are unsupported by Esri, but we put them out in the app stores, and we give away the source code for these with AppStudio, so you can create your own version of them. And then Esri, we have a professional services group. Professional services is kind of like our contract, for hire group at Esri to make custom solutions, and they've built a number of really cool solutions with AppStudio. The one there's the tablet one, Dig Alert, which is a call before you dig application. It was really cool, and it showed the power of AppStudio because the first 3 customers that were using this and interested in this application, one was on iPad, one was on Android tablets, one was on Windows. And we could really write this app once, and it ran on all those different platforms. And of course, we have a number of users that are building apps. The one there, Tree Trails, is a really nice tour to tour and also collect information about historic trees in the state of Texas. And it's actually really nicely done. There's a web version. It's like a story map type a web version of this app. You can read it on the web, but hey, you're going to go visit these places. You might want an actual dedicated app. And it's, I say, really nicely designed, and shows you these cool historic trees in Texas. And then the other one on like the far right, the Wildfire Analyst Pocket. Amazing little app built with AppStudio that shows you like a 3D perspective of open wildlands, when you can say, if I'm here and there's a fire and the wind is going at this speed and the slope is this and this, where would that fire propagate? And it's a powerful little app built with AppStudio. So these are just a few of the examples. Many apps are very simple. Clicking a picture, capturing data, graffiti, whatever. But we have a big breadth of apps people are creating. This is a screenshot of some of the apps that people are creating with AppStudio. So I talked about AppStudio. AppStudio is the product, but what do you get with AppStudio? Because really it's a suite of productivity tools for creating apps. There's different pieces of it. And the kind of key cog piece, or the central piece, is this AppStudio desktop. So the desktop tool, which you download from us, install, and this gives you access to the ability to create new apps. Kind of generates your app project for you. You manage your apps there. You upload them to your ArcGIS online account or download existing ones from the account. You access samples from this and help documentation, of course. Other thing that comes in desktop and that you access through desktop are these AppStudio templates. We have 3, and soon to be 4, kind of standard templates. And these are templates that you don't need to write any code at all to customize images, fonts. I'll go into a little bit of that later, but to really customize it, you're configuring these apps without writing any code. We have a few of these templates coming in the product. We also have some enterprise templates. These are things like Survey 123, Quick Capture will be one of these. They're more advanced templates, a little more code, maybe you need a little more experience, but we give you the source code whether you want to just brand it as your own or you want to add functionality to these kind of more powerful enterprise templates. We also bundle the Qt Creator IDE. So this is a integrated development environment. So this is your coding environment for actually writing custom code in QML, which we'll talk about later. And that comes bundled as you install the product. It gets included in there as well. AppStudio Player, which is a really cool tool for playing your apps and sharing them quickly and easily with other people without having to kind of do a separate build of the app and get those install binaries or those install executables. you can use AppStudio Player to run your app on multiple devices, whether it's yours or others. And then also last little bit there, and this is kind of some secret sauce we have, is this called Cloud Make. So if you do want to create this an end product installable app that you're going to put on other devices, that you're going to maybe put into app stores or distribute widely in your organization, we have a service in the cloud where you upload your app project to ArcGIS Online. You say, hey, I want Android, I want Windows, I want iOS builds for these, and hit go, and it will generate those in the cloud and then download the results to you. This is a huge time save for a lot of people because they don't have to have separate build machines. I don't need a Mac to do an iOS build. I don't have to have multiple machines, make sure they're all in sync with the latest DLLs. I can just do those things in the cloud. All right, so now when you think a little bit about who are you, or what's your skill level, what's your, how we call it, what's your persona, and what you can do with AppStudio. So are you a configurator? Are you, a GIS user who has some technical skills and can, create web maps and like web application, like web app builder type applications? Would you consider yourself a geohacker, a GIS professional who's learned to maybe write a little Python, maybe read and write some HTML and JavaScript, and is good about figuring out how, figuring out code by looking at it and maybe copying and pasting from samples and putting that into, a new application? Or are you a code ninja? You are fluent in at least one programming language. You're totally comfortable starting from scratch and just going through documentation and figuring things out. So with these different personas, what can you do with AppStudio? Well, Configurator, you can use one of our templates and add their maps or data, change the colors, the branding of the app with different colors and images, add custom fonts and icons to their app, and with a number of settings that you don't have to programmatically change, but you can just configure in our settings dialogues. And you can test these on multiple devices. Share those with your coworkers and even publish those if you like to app stores. So if you have those configurator skills, I think pretty much everyone in this room has, you can do all that. When you get that little, a little more advanced, you can hack together a little bit of code, then you can extend those templates with, a custom button here, some extra functionality. Use some of our samples. Take we have over 70 samples, and these are live running samples. You can actually click on them as a separate little app, see them run, and then look at the code behind them. Take that code, put it into your own app, maybe add some new functionality. And the Code Ninja, you might want to start from scratch. You might want to start from scratch, or just a basic layout, or take one of our templates and add a lot to it, or take one of those enterprise templates like Survey 123, which are definitely a little more complicated, but add extra functionality to that. And we've got a number of people that are interested in that and doing that. All right. Enough of me talking about AppStudio and the different components, what comes with it. We're now going to see a demo from Tina. She's going to take us through a tour of AppStudio Desktop, as well as building an app from configuring an app from one of these templates.
Okay. All right, thank you, Chris. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to configure a template app that looks like this. It has a collection of web maps and offline mobile map packages. You can click on any of the app and interact it with the web maps in this mobile app. I'm going to show you how to configure it using AppStudio Desktop, and at the same time, I'm also going to give you an overview of the desktop. So here's AppStudio Desktop 4.0 beta that you can download from the early adopter community. First of all, I'm going to start to create a new app by clicking on this purple button. There are multiple ways to start to create an app. Here you have a few simple Hello World starter app. We have 4 ready-to-use configurable template apps: Map Tour, Map Viewer, Quick Report, and the brand new 3D Scene Viewer. We also have a few nice-looking material design layout to help you get started. Under the Samples tab, you will have access to more than 70 samples. Each of them demonstrate you a specific mapping functionalities or some app framework functionalities. Under this last tab, we have provided you a few enterprise templates such as Survey 123, AppStudio Player, and some other Esri Apps app. You will have full access to the source code of this app, and you can further customize them. Now I'm going back to the template tabs, and we'll start to create a new map viewer template. Once the app has been created, it will appear in this gallery area. You can customize the appearance of the AppStudio desktop by decrease or increase the gallery card size. You can choose to have a dark theme or light theme. You can also move the set panel from right to the left. You can also choose the default code editor as Q Creator or Visual Studio Code. Now let's move on to the set panel. So we have a set of development tools on it. You can click on the Run button to run your app on the AppStudio desktop. You can also click on the Edit button to open the code editor. You can click on the Files button to access your app project folders, and you can duplicate and delete your app. We have this Settings tool. You can change the app properties, such as change it title, a summary. You can put your app's icon in here, some template-related properties to set the app capabilities, and provide some licensing information in here. Now I'm going to start to configure my National Park Trails app. First of all, I will copy the app icon and my landing background images. Just going to use a shortcut. While the app is selected, I will click on the Files button and go to the Assets folder to paste my icon and background image. Now I'm going to click on the Settings button to open the Settings tool. I will open my cheat sheet to copy the title for the app. National Park Trails. Then I'm going to copy the summary to here. A collection of hiking maps for national parks. I'm also going to give my app a nice description. So as I make changes, I like to apply to save my change and double-click on the app to view the change. As you can see, the title has been changed and also the summary has been changed. And you can find the app description in this About the App page. Now let's go back to our Settings tool and go to the Resource section. I can click on the app icon to select the icon that I just copied before. Now I'm going to go to the Property section to change the background image. I'm also going to give my app a branding color. We can apply the change and run the app again. As you can see now, the app background image has been changed and the branding color becomes a brown color. Now we just need to bring our web maps and offline maps into the app gallery. I'm going to click on the Gallery tab. So in this map query, you can enter your web map item ID in here or the item tags. In this case, I'm going to put a group ID in here because I have saved all of my web maps and offline maps into this group. The advantage of doing it is later on, if I have published my app already and I want to change the content of the app, I can just simply change the group content. Now I'm going to scroll down to the maps to show in gallery property. You can choose to show only web maps in your gallery or only offline mobile map packages. In this case, I'm going to choose to show both online and offline maps. Now I'm going to save the change and run my app again. So now the app looks exactly as what I have showed you before. We can try to run and test this app on a real device. Before we're doing it, we need to upload the app to our ArcGIS Online. As you can see here, I have signed into my ArcGIS Online account. You can also sign into your portal account, but enter the portal URL in here. So now I'm going to clicking on this upload button to upload my app. So while the app is uploading, I'm going to take my tablet. Okay, so now I'm going to open another app. This is AppStudio Player. AppStudio Player is a great testing tool. You can download and run your app in a mobile device in this player. You can download Player from Apple App Store, Google Play Store. You can also download the desktop version of the AppStudio Player. You can sign into your player with your ArcGIS Online or Enterprise account. So what I want to highlight here is the function to skip sign-in. You can still access public apps. I think I need to upload this app again. I need to share it to public. Okay. So now I'm updating I'm trying to updating my National Park Trails app to share it to public. So now I will clicking on the Set menu to open the Set panel, and there's a Scan QR code option. I'm going to click on it and try to scan the QR code of the app. So the app is now being downloaded to my player. In my device, I can clicking on the Start button to try to quickly test the app on my mobile device. So it looks like everything works fine. So besides for using Player to test your app, you can also use a Player as an enterprise distribution app. Now I'm going to give it back to Chris to talk more about it.
All right. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Tina. So just to talk a little more about AppStudio Player, you saw it as a cool, quick way to get apps onto a device and test them out. See what it's going to look like on different devices. Send it to someone else in your organization for them to test. But AppStudio Player, I want to drive home this concept. It really is quite powerful as also a way to distribute your apps. And so you can think of it as an alternative to pushing every single app you have through app stores or public app stores or distribution tools. So it's integrated with ArcGIS Online and Enterprise. So you're uploading your apps, or you can think of maybe app projects into Online and Enterprise. It is secure, it works with, it's kind of enterprise ready. It allows you to deliver a curated set of apps to your organization. And so they can stay organized and productive. And these apps can be AppStudio native apps, and you can also, I'm going to show here in a demo in a second, that they can be web apps as well. You can mix and match those together. And also, we publish AppStudio Player into the app stores. You can just easily go download it. Or we also give you the source code for AppStudio Player, and you can create your own version of AppStudio Player and put that in your organization. So it's kind of a AppStudio player. We give you the source code. In fact, I was told that AppStudio itself was created with AppStudio. And it's pretty amazing how we have no idea how that. I tried to think about it one time, and I sat there for like an hour, and nothing happened. But it's pretty cool stuff. So to think about maybe your organization or you create some cool maps and data visualizations, maybe some field tools. You have some nice analysis and dashboards. You have this great GIS content or ability. Maybe our collection ability. How do you get that into the end user's hands in your organization? This is sometimes referred to as that last mile. Hey, we've got, it's like a utility term, whatever. We got these great networks of data or, internet lines running or power lines, but that last mile is tricky. Getting the line to the person's house, getting it into their hands, it can be tricky. So you can think of AppStudio Player as that last mile tool for doing that. So you create all this great content and things, you share it into your ArcGIS organization, and how are people accessing content today? Often is from their mobile devices. So with AppStudio Player, you can then curate that and send that a nice set of apps and data and dashboards and things to that person. So I'm going to switch and show you a quick demo here. Number 2. All right, so imagine this demo is a Naperville, Illinois. That's not fictitious. That's a real place. Esri, we often do demos for this data in Naperville, Illinois, a city in Illinois. But I created a custom version of Player because I said we give the source code away. So as I open this custom version of Player, and I see, maybe I work for the city, and I see, hey, some cool apps that have been created by the GIS department for me. I have one here on the far right, this fire reporter. This is using one of our AppStudio templates. If I want to capture, information about a fire I see, I can use this simple app to do that. Just slide back out now, and I can look at some other apps. So here we have let's see, we'll try this hydrant inspection app. Again, using one of our AppStudio templates. If you work in the water department, you can now run this and get information about the hydrants in the city using our map viewer template. You have a recycling template. Now this one is just accessing a web app builder web application. It's running inside of AppStudio Player. We have a browser view that we can run, so it doesn't jump out to another browser. You can do that if you want, but it's running here in the browser, and I can interact with this nice little tool right here in this little set. We also support things like operations dashboards that run as a web view as well, and so I can bring up a nice police operations dashboard. Or I can actually link out to other applications. So as I click this last one, it opens up Collector. Of course, it's not Naperville anymore. We're here in San Diego because of my location, but I can start using Collector and capture data while in the field. So just real quick, showing the power and the capability of using AppStudio Player as a way to quickly and easily get your apps out to your organization. And to get a new app out to the organization, you simply write it in AppStudio or link to it from these tools in AppStudio, share it just as any other item into your organization with others, and then it'll pop up and they will see it. As here I've got more I can download from my organization. They can see it in here. So we've got some people that are doing this already, a few organizations that are using Player or custom versions of Player to distribute their apps. So think about that as a really cool alternative. I'm going to now turn time over to Erwin, who's going to bring us, talk about some AppStudio developer tools and the developer tooling that comes with AppStudio.
Yes, hello. So before I start, I know this is an intro session, but how many of you have used AppStudio before? Quite a lot of people, so. So before I start, I just want to set an expectation here. Chris mentioned that there is a configurator, GeoHacker, and the Code Ninja Tina has shown you what we can do. We have a template, and you can configure, change color, deploy to the player, or make your own app. But then what I'm going to show you here today is how you can extend the template by changing the source code, or how you can make your own app from scratch. So here's the AppStudio desktop that I have here. It may look different, but it's the same one that Tina has. All I have is just that I like the dark theme better than the light theme. So I have the dark theme going. I can create a new app. So I have a new app here. Just to reiterate again here that the custom player that Chris did is just he extended the player source code that you can get from the enterprise template. So we give out the source code of the player. He changed the color. He changed the image just like what Tina did for the template, and he has his own custom player. So what we're going to do here, we're going to create a custom app that I already kind of started already so that we don't have to start from scratch. So this is the app that I have, UC 2019 AppStudio intro. I'm going to start this app. It's an empty app right now. It only have the banner, the orange banner on the top. It says Angeles Crest 100 miles, and empty page in the bottom. So I'm going to open the source code of this app. The way to do it is, this is the app that's being highlighted. I right-click on that app. I go click on Edit in Qt Creator, or I can click on the Edit button on the side panel. So I'm going to click that. It's going to open up a different application that we call a Qt Creator, which is the text editor just like the Notepad++ or Visual Studio Code that we have used. So this is the source code of the app, the template or your custom app. Just going through what we have here, we have the project file, we have all of the PNG. It's the same asset folder that Tina has, and also the app info JSON that contains all of this configuration that Tina did on the setting page. Tina changed some info, enable this, enable that, change color. It all saved in this app info.json. There's a user interface for you to change that, but behind the scene it's stored in this file. So I'm going to go to the myapp.qml, which is the main file for the app. It's just like any other app, it's written with the QML and JavaScript. So it's like HTML and JavaScript combined. So we have an app. So I have an import statement that import libraries from Qt. I also have an import statement from our ArcGIS app framework. And I have an app that has a width and a height of 640. I have the app that have a height and width of 640. And then it's loading page 1. It loading the fonts, the color, and the sources. So it's loading page 1. So I'm going to open page1.qml. This is page1.qml. It has the same more import statement. And then it also load the ArcGIS runtime library for the mapping technology. So as you can see here, I have the page with the header. I have the page with the header with the width that's as wide as the parent, the height of 56, and then it has the color of orange and the elevation of 10. That look like a little elevated shadow effect. And I also have a tool button that has an image of a back icon. And then I have a label that says Angeles Crest 100 miles. So what I'm going to do in this demo is I'm going to add 2 items. I'm going to add a map inside this app, and I'm going to add a button that's going to do something. So let's do that. So I have this headers ready-made, so I'm going to just minimize it. So I'm going to add more code inside the page. I have the code ready for that. I'm not going to type all of them. So I have the code for the map. I have a map view, 4 lines of code. Add it here. So what I just did, I added a map view inside a page that anchors to fill the whole parent. And then I have a map object that is loading a web map. So you created a web map in ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise, grab that URL and the ID, put it in this code, and then now you're loading that web map. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to run this app using this green button. So as you can see here that now I have a map inside the page that's loading your web map. You can do all of the setting of web map. You just simply load it. You don't need to do it on the code. You don't have to add every single layer on the code. You do it in the user interface in the map viewer of ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. So I have all of that here and done. So before I move on, Chris mentioned that one of the advantage of using native apps as compared to using website is the ability to go offline. So I wanted to be able to show you that we can also add the mobile map package, which is the offline content, so that you can, once you build the app, you can go out on the field without internet connection, and then the map will still show, because right now it's an offline map. So I have the code for that. I have a map view, I have a map. I'm going to add an offline map here. So I have the offline map, which is the mobile map package. Copy this mobile map package. I'm going to add it here. So I add a mobile map package. This is just a code to load a mobile map package. I need to specify which mobile map package file that I want to get into. I'm going to go there, copy this code. To put it here. So it's loading the ultramarathon2d.mmpk. So I'm going to go to that file to show you. I'm going to show in Finder. So we want to show this in the data folder. I have the data folder, ArcGIS AppStudio/data, ultramarathon2d.mobile map package. So you can go to ArcGIS Pro, open this web map, and then run the tool, create mobile map package. It gives you this file, .mmpk. You can put it in the project file or upload it to ArcGIS Online, and we can download it later. So I have this file here. So I'm going to run this again, save and run. So now instead of loading that offline map, online map, now we have the map that's offline. So you can go out in the field, just like that without internet connection, you have the map already loaded on your phone, and you can do interaction, you can do this and that. So this is the same route of the 100 miles ultramarathon route from Wrightwood to Pasadena that I'm showing in this presentation. Also, in this presentation, I want to show you that this is a 2D map, just a flat map. In AppStudio, with the power of our ArcGIS runtime 100.5, it also supports 3D. So not only you can load map, you can also load scene, which is the 3D. I want to show you how easy it is to change this. So I want to show you, this is the map view, the map view component that we have. All I have to do is just simply switch map to scene, and then refer to the same, to the scene ID, and then you have the 3D. So I have the map view here. I'm going to change everything that says map to scene. So scene, I'm going to change scene here. And I'm going to change this mobile scene package. And then I'm going to say scene and also scene. So now the code is loading a 3D map instead of 2D map. So all I have to do is just now change this MMPK to the other. So I have another one, Ultramarathon 3D MSPK, which is the mobile scene package. I'm going to change this to 3D. 3D and mobile scenes package. So this one, we are loading the offline map package. So I'm going to run this app again. So now it is loading a mobile scene package, which is a 3D model of the same map that we have, 2D and 3D. So we just want to show you that in AppStudio you can load both of those map and scene. I remember I wanted to add two things. I already add a map and a scenes. I want to add a button that will do something. The reason I want to show you how to add a button, because most of the time you're taking a template, and then while evaluating a template, it says that all it's missing is just this button. So I want to show you how to add a button into a ready-made app. So I have this map, this scene ready. I'm going to minimize this. so that it's easy to see. We have a page, we have a header, and we have a scene view. Oops. So I'll add a button here. The code ready for that as well. I have the round button. I'm adding a round button. I'm adding a round button with a radius of 32 pixels that is anchored to the right bottom of the screen, and then it has background color of orange. It has an image of info icon, and then on a click of the button, it's going to do a text-to-speech. Welcome to Esri User Conference. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run this, and then we have the same app with this orange info button, and then if I click this button, it will say something. I'm gonna turn up my volume here. Press this button.
Welcome to Esri User Conference.
So this is also another advantage that why using native app, because it uses the device capability. You wouldn't be able to do this with web. You will be able to use the compass, the location, the text, the microphone, all of the gyroscope that's available on the phones. Also, other devices that's connected to the phone. For example, the GNSS receiver, RFID, laser, all kinds of stuff that this phone can connect to. So with that being said, let me open up the progress that we have made so far. So I have this, and I have this as well. Sorry. So what we did today was, I originally had an empty little app that just have a banner. We added a 2D map, and we added a 3D map, and now I added a button. Hopefully I can convey the message that this is how, if you were to extend or create an app from scratch in AppStudio. And then the last piece I want to talk about before we go is the CloudMake. So now let's say you have this map, you configure it, or you customize it. It's an option, but now you're ready to go to the store. You want to create an executable, right? You go back to the AppStudio desktop, and this is the app. You go ahead and click on the Make tools. You click on this Make tool. It's going to open up another window. And you click on a CloudMake. You'll be given an option if you want to create an executable for Android, 64-bit or 32-bit, iOS, macOS, Windows 3262, or Linux Ubuntu. And you click on Analyze Build, and then you click a Request Builds. So what it's doing it now, it's grabbing all of this source code, and then it's executing the build in the cloud, and then it will deliver you the executable, the Android executable, which is the APK, iOS executable, which is IPA, exe for Windows. Now you have, once this is done, once you have that file, you're going to go to the Google Play Store and Apple App Store and upload that files so that you have your app listed in the App Store.
All right, thank you, Erwin, for the great demo and showing things. You might have noticed Erwin showed a demo of the Angeles Crest 100, which is an ultra marathon through the Angeles National Forest that Erwin is running next month, a 100-mile ultra marathon next month. So he's gonna, hopefully he'll be back next year as well to do a demo. But Erwin, don't clap for him, right? He hasn't finished yet. He hasn't finished yet. So. Yeah, if the conference, yeah, we made sure the conference was first so that he could be here for that. But let's talk about what we all came here for, is licensing, right? That's what you want to hear about. So AppStudio. So we're making some changes. If you've used AppStudio already and you know the different levels of licensing with AppStudio, we are making changes to the naming and kind of what you get at the different levels at AppStudio 4.0, which is coming out next month in August. These licensing changes are currently in the beta version that we have of AppStudio 4.0, which is in our early adopter site. So if you want to Try it out new. If you want to try it out new, right after this conference, I would definitely go to the early adopter, get the beta, and go from there. We are the names. We have two different license level names for our license levels. There's AppStudio for ArcGIS, and there's AppStudio for ArcGIS Developer Edition. Previously, it was Basic and Standard. We're just switching those names out to AppStudio for ArcGIS and then Developer Edition. Standard becomes Developer Edition. The Basic is, we're just called AppStudio for ArcGIS. Goes in line if you're familiar with like Web App Builder and their different levels. It's kind of the same naming. So those are two different levels. Now let's talk about like what you get at these different levels. So this AppStudio for ArcGIS, I'll call this like the base level. What you get is, well, you get a lot of the stuff we showed today. You can, you get AppStudio Desktop. At this base level. You can create apps using our templates, samples, layouts. You can write custom code with Qt Creator or other tools and customize your app. You get access to all these productivity tools to debug, like console and emulator simulators. We didn't even talk about some of those things, but you, in AppStudio Player, you get access to that. That's kind of what you get. How do you distribute these apps that you create? Well, you distribute them using AppStudio Player to others in your organization. So the mechanism for distributing apps created at this base level or base license of AppStudio is AppStudio Player. So they log in, you share them as items in your organization, they log in, they download, they use the apps and run them within AppStudio Player. Then what do you get at Developer Edition? Well, Developer Edition, you get all that stuff I just talked about at the base level, of course. You also get access to the Cloud Make. So if you want to create a separate install executable, ready to go to like an app store or something, you need the Developer Edition. You also get the access to our enterprise template. So the Survey 123 template. Quick Capture will be coming out soon. There's soon to be some functionality to create plugins for Survey 123. That will also be included in this Developer Edition. And then to distribute those apps, of course, you can use AppStudio Player. You can create your own custom version of Player. Put that into, distribute that to people, and you can access and you can push these apps into the app stores as separate, install executables, whether that's public app stores, or maybe you have a way in your organization to push apps to devices like a mobile device management system or MDM system. Maybe your organization already has a way that you want to push these individual apps to them. So you have a little more flexibility, definitely, and if you need to go to the public app stores, you have to have a Developer Edition. But with these changes, we essentially, we kind of moved that Cloud Make to the Developer Edition and that publishing piece, but we gave a lot more tools to that base level of user. And a lot more people now have this. So who has that? Who has that base level, just AppStudio for ArcGIS? Who gets access to that? Well, any creator or GIS professional user type. If you aren't quite caught up on their user type, this is if you were a level 2 user. Basically, if you can log into your organization and you can create a map, like create a new map or a web app from that map, like Web App Builder or a dashboard or something, then you have that. Now that means you have enough privileges that you now also have AppStudio for ArcGIS, and you can create these apps and share them with others in your organization through Player. If you want that Developer Edition, you get Developer Edition by subscribing to a paid level of our ArcGIS developer subscription plan. So we have these different plans. There's Essentials, which is a free, kind of the free version. Then there's Builder and Above, which are for fee. They all come with the Developer Edition of AppStudio for ArcGIS. We are working on ways to make it easier if anyone's dealt with this or previously, if anyone's dealt with standard licenses and maybe wanting to move that license to their production organization or a different account, you can talk to me afterwards, but we're making it easier to do that and a process to make it much easier to, essentially make it easier to buy and use the Developer Edition in the org you want. Then what's coming, also coming, I guess features that are coming to AppStudio at this next release coming in August. We have that new licensing, of course, I just mentioned. We have a new 3D scene viewer template. So just like the kind of an easy to configure template like Tina showed the map viewer, but this is for 3D scenes and scene packages. So a really nice, beautiful looking template for viewing 3D data. We have an extension Visual Studio Code for those that would rather write some code in, use Visual Studio Code, that tool to write code, you can do that. Some cool updates coming to Qt Creator. If you come to the advanced session tomorrow, you'll see Erwin show some updates to Qt Creator where we have like real debugging now inside of Qt Creator, which is a big, exciting thing. As well as some kind of lower level things for when you're writing code, permission dialog prompts, previewing when sharing files, changing the language on the fly in the app. So some kind of lower programmatic things that are coming. And that, again, that is coming in August. If you're interested, join that, go to our early adopter site and join the beta program for that. All right, that's all we have for today. Thank you for coming. We do ask that you fill out the survey in the app, the events app. You just find this session, you hit the survey. I think you slide the little things all the way to the far right, the number 5, and you hit submit, and you're done. We do have some more sessions coming with AppStudio. We have advanced topics tomorrow at 10 a.m. Survey 123 for ArcGIS, extending the app. That is really about AppStudio. That is, because how do you extend Survey 123? You do it with AppStudio. So this is actually extending that and some cool new capabilities with writing plugins for Survey 123. As well as Erwin and I are doing a session on easily the configuration options and configuring an offline map. So that's tomorrow as well. I'll leave that up for a second. We now have, I guess, 5 minutes. We'll open it now up to any questions that you might have.
Thank you for coming.
There we go. Any questions? Come on, there's got to be some questions here.
It's a brilliant presentation, but I have a question regarding the building. The people who is, should engage in this application, like App Builder. If anyone is not aware about the coding and he hate coding like me,
Sure.
I hate to engage in coding. So App Builder, it's okay. As like a configurable application, and you can deal with it, and you can create a fantastic or simple application. So the first level and the second level of AppStudio, I think is similar to App Builder, and the third level is for the developer or the advanced developer. I don't know, right or wrong?
Yeah, so the question was talking about comparison to AppStudio for ArcGIS and Web App Builder and kind of the different, the audience for that and what they can do. Definitely, Web App Builder has a lot of widgets, right? And it's very easy to configure. And we have configurable templates. We don't have the same concept as of widgets that drag and drop in there. But you would be, I guess, correct is that the typical Web App Builder person or a person that's good at that and likes that is probably going to fall into the first two personas, yes. They're going to fall into that configurator, maybe that GIS professional or the GIS hacker, geo-hacker, but that developer persona here, the code ninja, that's probably someone that instead of Web App Builder, they're going to start from scratch. There's some people that they use the Web App Builder Developer Edition. They're going to they want to start with that and build on. But many of them, hey, I want to start from scratch and build. That is, we don't have as many widgets and templates as Web App Builder, but we are growing them and we are adding more functionality there.
But as I see here, there is a function, so the second level of hacking can deal with it, or JS professional.
Yeah.
That they are not knowing well about coding and the hate to engage in coding. They can deal with the second level of hacking. Can the JS professional dealing with the first and second level? Only JS professional, not developer. This is my question. Can they?
Maybe I don't quite understand.
The first and second level of AppStudio here.
Yeah.
Can the JS professionals dealing with it and using it and creating application through the first and second?
We've seen many that have been able to do that. The JS professionals that have maybe known they knew Python, and they learned how to write custom applications here. So Do you need to know a little bit of code? Sure, you need to be able to probably read at least something like HTML and a little bit of coding, yes. But yeah, many GIS professionals, they've grown their skills in their GIS professional job. Their job has required them to do that. And this is a great transition. Going to something like iOS, Objective-C, Swift, or Java, that's too much of a leap. They're not going to get there. They're never going to write an app in that. They don't have the time in their job to do that. But this is approachable for those GIS professionals.
And also we saw a lot of people who simply just take the templates, change the color, change the image, and then go to the App Store after that without going to the code and make that changes. We also saw a lot of people
we do see a lot
who just configure the template as well.
The code that you write, is it Java or?
It's QML and JavaScript. QML, it's the markup language, just like the HTML and JavaScript. So it's pretty much like web, HTML and JavaScript. In AppStudio, it's QML and JavaScript. So it's kind of JavaScript-ish.
Yeah.
Yes, so the authentication comes from the app framework module that we have, the one that you import, and then so the same way we saw there's a login, and then it will go through either Active Directory or XAML or that sort of stuff.
Yes. So the question was, if you want to collect data, do you have to use Survey 1, 2, 3, or can you create your own custom data collection application? You can create your own. One of the templates that we offer is the Quick Report template. It's one of our kind of 3. And that is very simple. Hey, go to a location, collect a point, line, or polygon, fill out a little form. Not as complex a form as Survey 1, 2, 3, and definitely not the editing tools you have in Collector, but a simple data collection. So we have samples for that. We have others. If you wanted to create Collector and that whole experience, it would be an undertaking to create it. But it's not that it's possible. It's just just an a big undertaking. But yeah, you can create. We have many users that are creating apps with this that are doing some data collection. They have a very streamlined workflow. They wanted to collect a point or a polygon and as part of their workflow in their focused app, and yeah, they're using AppStudio.
So maybe simple data collection here, but if you have some intensive, it's probably Survey 1, 2, 3 or
In most cases, yes,
Yep.
mainly, yeah.
One more. After you install the app, the device, does it run inside the context of the player?
Okay, so the question is, how do you run the app? As we mentioned, there are multiple ways you can do it. You can first just run the app inside the AppStudio player. So if you are testing it on a mobile device, you go to the App Store and install AppStudio player. And then now you create your app in AppStudio desktop, make changes, yada yada, and you upload it to ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. And then you go ahead and download that app into your mobile phone, and it runs on your mobile phone. But
It won't require the player anymore if you download the app.
so that's through the player. But you can also create a separate build. So you can create the Cloud Make and then create an executable. And then you can either sideload that executable, then install it on the app, or you can go through App Store, you upload that executable to the App Store, and then you have your end user download it from the App Store.
Yeah, so you can do both. You can run it inside of Player, you can run it outside of Player, depending on how you build and distribute it. Yeah, you can do both. All right. Another question?
Yeah, I was wondering, you said the QML and the JavaScript, what about if you want more flexibility for styling? Only using CSS.
So the question is how to style it more in JavaScript, so, in AppStudio. So you do it in QML. You put all of those styling in QML. QML have properties. Sorry, QML has a style property, just like in HTML. You can set color, anchor, how is it positioned, and all of the color images in the QML itself. So the styling done in the QML.
Would you say there are limitations compared to using CSS?
You cannot use CSS in QML.
Yeah, but
CSS? I wouldn't say limitation, it's just a different programming language and different approach. And in most cases, our developer can achieve the same thing. Let's say you want it to look like that in web, and then we can make it look like that in the app itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a different language, a different approach, but I think they both can achieve the same end result.